Calling the meeting to order, due to the COVID-19, I guess I need to flip over to where I can read that. Due to COVID-19 emergency, the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors is operating pursuant to and in compliance with the emergency continuity of operations ordinance. While physically in-person access to these meetings is not permitted, the public may participate in these meetings by calling 1-844-890-7777, access code 390313. This time, I'm going to ask Beverly if she'll give us her invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for last night's slumber and today's early morning rise. Lord, we ask that for your guidance and your blessings as we address the matters at hand, and help us to be on one accord. We ask this in your precious and most loving name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, is there any conflict of interest with any of our board members? If not, I guess we're going to public participation. Where is Miss Sarah? Yes, Sarah, do we have any? Yes, I got none have signed. In that case, I'm going to close the public participation. Comment from the board?
No
Ms.
comment.
Bryant, no comment? No comment from myself and I, except for just to say thanks to everybody.
No comment.
Jim?
I've just got one. There was something in the paper the other day that I don't know if everybody saw it or not, but working on the interchange of East Third Street and the bypass. One of the things we were trying to sell is the traffic situation and it being very dangerous for the students to cross from Longwood to the restaurants on the other side of the street. There was an article about there. 2 students just got hit crossing South Main Street. Both of them ended up in the hospital, but not with life-threatening things. So anyway, but I just want to make sure you were aware of it.
I guess the only thing that I would say, you're getting a copy right now of the committees. Very little changes. The only thing that will be a big change, so to speak, is the personnel will go to an ad hoc, and if it needs to be called, we will call it. Are there any questions or anything from the board? If not, I guess we'll go to the consent agenda. Everyone should have had time to have read. Are there any additions or deletions from the consent agenda?
I move we accept the consent agenda as printed in our board pack.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly made and seconded. Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty Cooper? Is Patty on? She is on. Are you muted, Patty? She's muted. Patty, can you hear us? Patty, if you can hear us, call in on the 1-800 number, please. It's on your front page of your board packet. We'll give her just a moment.
Patty can hear us according to Scott Frederick.
Okay. But we can't hear her like we can't hear Scott.
Okay, so I'll tell Scott that he will need to call in also.
Treasurer's report, I think you have a copy of that. Is there a motion made to accept it as presented?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I guess we have to wait on Patty. Is that what we need to do for the first one?
Was that, did you approve the whole consent agenda, Mr. Chairman, including the treasurer's report? That last vote?
It was approval of the minutes is what we
I'm
made it's, I did say that, but Bobby made a motion to present the minutes.
Okay.
Are you gonna wait just a moment on? Everybody that's out there, just bear with us, we're having a few difficulties with our tech here. Karen?
Was that a motion for the consent agenda, or was that a motion for just the minute?
Just the minutes.
No.
Or did you do the whole consent agenda? Beg your pardon?
Yeah.
All right, well, the whole agenda then.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I think you're gonna have to call in on that phone for them to be able, these other folks to call in. We don't know what's causing us a problem, but I think you have to be on the phone to.
That's your call in.
Yeah,
The
that makes
844
sense.
number.
Patty, you're muted down here and we can't,
Keep hitting mute, but it does not unmute.
okay.
Can we go to that one there before?
Cause we had a vote and we couldn't get your vote on it.
I
All right,
voted,
Jerry,
I
how
would
do you think?
vote yes, but y'all couldn't hear.
Okay. Hang on, they're working on it.
It should be down.
Start meeting. Share better. Please enter your access code. Access code or phone number you have dialed.
Is this what you're-
Your input is invalid. Please re-enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Wow.
Welcome to the Prince Edward County Conference Line. Please stand by. You'll be joined in shortly. If you are the host, press star now. Otherwise, wait. Please enter your PIN followed by the pound or hash.
I don't remember what it is, 18.
If you do not know your PIN, please enter pound or hash.
Patty, can you hear us now?
Hi, are you?
Patty, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
That's
Peter
not
Burke.
Patty Cooper Jones.
Sounds like Peter Burke.
That was Peter. Mr. Gurr, are you with us this evening also?
I just wanted to thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much.
Patty, we're still having trouble hearing you if you can hear us.
I can hear you, yes, very clear.
Peter, we're trying to get one of our other board members on. Hold up just a minute.
Thank you.
That's Peter Gurr.
While we're working on this, you want to go to, let the presentation from Robert Cox start? Can we go ahead and start? In that case, it's up to you, Josh. This is the audit presentation.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
All
Patty,
right.
Patty,
Thank you.
Josh, hold on 1 minute. Patty, are you a yay for, the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay, all right, we're good to go. All right, Josh.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Josh Roller here from Robinson Farmer Cox to present the fiscal year 20 audit report. And earlier this evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Townsend, and Ms. Patty Cooper Jones, Ms. Cooper Jones, we met as part of the audit committee. We went through in a lot of detail of the entire audit report of the governance letter. So right now, I'll do the very brief summarized version of that. If you have any questions at the end, feel free to ask them. So the few things I'll just point your attention to in the audit report, pages 1 through 3 of the report, this is our independent auditor's opinion. This is where we have issued an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion for the county this year. The next thing I'll point your attention to, exhibits 3 and 5 on pages 17, starting on page 17. These are the fund financial statements of the governmental funds. Your exhibit 3 is your balance sheet of the governmental funds. Your total at the end of 2020, total fund balance for all governmental funds, as you can see at the very end, at the bottom of the page there, is 17.85 million. The general fund balance makes up 13.38 million of that. The one change on that statement, as well as Exhibit 5 comparing to previous years, is the new CARES Act fund, which is obviously a new activity, new fund for fiscal year 20. The next thing I'll point your attention to on page 91, Exhibit 11. This is your general fund budgetary schedule. This is where it breaks down revenues, expenditures, with original budget, the final amended budget, as well as the actual revenue, actual expenditure cost. It's likely the most useful, beneficial statement for the board there. From there, I'll kind of leave it up to you all if you have any questions or anything you want me to go into further detail on.
Josh, just a quick overview that, from the audit committee. It looks like we're in good standings. Would you say that we had a small weakness in the area, but it looks like it's all been taken care of, is that correct?
Yeah, there was a finding we had on the 2019 audit report. In this year's report, it's reported as a prior year finding, and we have kind of said that management's response was adequate, and we kind of consider it to be fixed for this year. We don't have that same finding for 2020.
Ms. Nunley asked that we would present to the board and tell them that she was very thankful. I gave mine to give it away. She was very thankful for the board standing with her and getting Ms. Earhart to help not only fix a few problems, but teach them, and they're doing some cross-training in there now, so it looks like that next year that they will know even more than what they know now, because Ms. Earhart has given them some good direction. Would you agree, Josh?
Yes, I would agree with that, Chief.
Are there any questions?
Do y'all think we will still need to hire the help of those two ladies in upcoming years, or is it?
Josh had pointed out that in a lot of localities that they sometimes do hire them for a month or so in between. Is that correct, Josh?
Yeah, and there are some localities that have a full-time finance director and have for years, and they still use a Mary Earhart consultant or someone similar on an annual basis. I don't know if I'm willing to make kind of a whole personnel type of choice there, but it's a very common consultant that's needed to kind of get the financial statements in order for us to come in and actually audit them.
And if we don't have as many entries as they had this year, then it would be a much shorter time period. Is that correct?
And yes.
So for the rest of the board, this year, it was a much more in-depth thing because there were some issues they had to find and also to enter and everything else. So it seems as though the cross-training, that all of that, the data entry and everything should be in next year. So she would, instead of spending several months, she might could come in for a week and just look over things and comb through it and see if we decide to do that. But that was kind of what the audit showed us, and that's what Jerry and I saw and asked some questions tonight.
And Donna was very optimistic that Ms. Earhart training her staff, they'll be up where they need to be to maintain it and down the road. So when that period expired in March for Mary, Donna feel comfortable that again they're gonna be where her staff will be where they need to be and maintaining the journals, entries, and also the overall unmodified opinion report was two findings though. One was unclaimed property with some checks of property, and another one, the annual school report, they didn't meet their deadline. So those was the only two minor things, deficiencies, but still that need to be noted, okay?
And with that said, we had asked Josh also, even though the board is quote unquote responsible, the school board has to do their job because we can't, since we don't appoint them or anything else anymore, they're elected, that's not our, we just need to put a little bit of
Right.
pressure there to say, hey, we need this done at a certain time, but even though it looks like the county, it's our problem, it's really not, so to
Right.
speak, but anyway.
But if we hire a finance director, that person, he or she will be on top of that and be more proactive to make
Correct.
sure they meet those deadlines. And the same with the unclaimed property. Nothing serious, just something minor that need to be noted.
Yeah, it's just it's not a financial statement finding, it's a state compliance finding. The Auditor of Public Accounts issues, audit requirements that we're required to, kind of check the box on certain things, and those two things are ones that we noted in our testing.
Are there any questions for Josh?
I move that the board approve, accept the fiscal year 20 audit and presented by Robinson, Farmer and Cox.
Is there a second?
Second.
All, Patty Cooper Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Pride,
Yes.
myself, yes. Ms. Booth,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
and Lou.
Yes.
So moved then. Thank you.
Thank you all for having us.
Thanks, Josh.
Josh, Matt, thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Y'all be safe.
Josh, good to see you again.
At this time, Town of Farmville Town Manager, Scott Davis. Thank you for being here tonight too, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors. I appreciate the invitation to be here this evening with you all. I can honestly say this is my first Prince Edward County Board meeting, so be easy on me. How's that?
We'll do it.
I want to say thank you to Mr. Stanley as well in inviting me in coming up with this idea that he shared with me of us taking turns going to each other's governing bodies. I think it's a great idea, and I want to thank him for that. I also want to say that we've had the benefit of meeting several times and communicating regularly by email and phone and in person. And I really look forward to the relationship and partnership that Doug and I can build with our time here. I guess I want to point out just a few things where we have been working together, the county and the town. One of them, as you know, is we have a great partnership, I think, with the YMCA and the county and the town in providing a facility and the ability to have a daycare program for county residents and students during this unfortunate pandemic that's lasted longer, I think, than most of us had expected. The town also has been working with the county, offering assistance in whether it's a facility or some type of way to roll out the vaccine and partnering together and talking with the Virginia Department of Health, our Piedmont district. And on the one other COVID matter, I guess I want to say thank you, a lot of appreciation to the board for allowing us to have a member at the committee for the funds, the care funds, and also for you all approving those needs that we had during that time and helping us in that assistance. Another area I think we've worked well in together is with the Prince Edward Volunteer Rescue Squad. You know, there was a meeting before about what we could do to help help that organization. And since then, you know, we committed to partial funding of a director's position. I think, Mr. Emery, you're on that board there and have seen that from the beginning. We're continuing to do that, and we also offered to pay up to a certain dollar amount every year and do the maintenance on their vehicles. And just to give you an idea, you know, we don't charge anything for labor. We track it, but we don't. If it goes over that dollar amount, we don't charge them. And I think it's about $40,000 we committed to this year, and we haven't reached that. Right now, from July to January, if you add in the labor, material, it's only cost them about $14,600, which is really good. You know, before that, they were spending a whole lot more money on maintenance of their equipment. And so, we're glad we can help with that. They still get fuel and we're still maintaining their property. And as you all know, recently, we had to push some snow there, so, along with everywhere else. Some other happenings that, you all might be, and like to know, is, we're working with FDP, Farmville Downtown Partnership, on two different things. One is a grant opportunity for, to have some better wayfinding signs. And, that'll, help lead people, to the right places, once they get into town and into the county. And, especially for visitors who are trying to find the free parking areas. You know, if you're from here, you kind of know where to park, but if you don't, it can be hidden off the beaten path, off of Main Street. The other one is, working with them on another grant opportunity to move our small-scale manufacturing, a little bit further down the pipeline. And, so the next step would be to evaluate those types of businesses that would, have an interest in our area and fit in our corridor. Hopefully tomorrow night, we're going to take advantage of another, company that did some consulting work that you might be familiar with, Retail Strategies. They're on board for another 3 years, with VGA. Obviously, we're not a member of VGA, but for the purposes of what they have brought into the county and particularly inside the town limits, we see a benefit in partnering with them to continue to tell us what businesses that we can or they can attract. And so one of those being Starbucks. Well, I don't know about y'all, but that line has been around and almost to the street almost every day since it opened. So for the cost of the shared cost, we think it's a benefit for us over the next 3 years. So hopefully the council will approve me to sign that agreement tomorrow night. And another partnership recently in using resources together, and hopefully it'll be even more in the future, that Doug and I can come in agreement with to do, and that is, you know, recently I think there was a problem with the pump at the pump station at the manor. And so we have the equipment that we were able to go and help the county employees with that situation as well. And so, you know, that's just a tidbit of what I think we've done and what we can do. And I just look forward to working with Doug in the future on other projects. Happy to answer any questions if I can.
I'd just like to make a comment. In the past, you know, we've tried to get together and meet with the town council at times. And, you know, we'll do it a little bit, then it kind of fades away. But I appreciate you and Doug getting together and doing this. I think it'll be a great help for us to have communications and board know what's going on.
Definitely.
I'd just like to echo what Supervisor Jones said, Mr. Davis, that it's indeed enlightening to have you here tonight, and certainly we all are one, okay? We all Prince Edwardians, okay? And we need to do what's best for the county, the citizens of this county and town. We all one. So again, welcome and look forward to many, many more.
Thank you.
Bobby, that was quarterly, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it never really got to quarterly. It just like, it was hard to come up with a time everybody could get together. And we consider the size of the town board, our board too.
Doug and I get paid to come together, so we're good.
I'm glad you realize that.
Scott, I'm like Bobby, I appreciate that. I would like to say a special thanks. I know that the first time that we pretty much specifically met was over the Peavers thing, and that's been about 2 years ago. And I actually just talked to Deanna just a few minutes ago, and she wanted to say thanks for all that you all have done and how much money that you all saved them. They figured that the savings just in the labor side was about $34,000. And that's not including the turnaround. They were having a tremendous amount of problem with turnaround, and they don't have to drive an hour or 2 hours away to do it, that they're close by. And that, I want to say from that board and from Deanna both, we appreciate that very much, because it's been a huge savings, which goes back to our taxpayers in all ways. It's keeps more ambulances on the road and everything else, so we appreciate what you all have done.
They're a great resource.
Any other comments for Scott?
Scott, good to see you.
Go ahead, Patty, you're, since we can't see you, go ahead.
All right, I just want to say that I truly appreciate you going, being at the board meeting tonight. And it has been a dream of mine with the town and the county work together, so God is good. And I thank you, and I thank the county for all that you do. And let's keep pushing Prince Edward Farmville forward. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Pride.
Just comment, it's like good to see you. Scott and I serve on the board of directors at Southside Virginia Community Hospital. Good to see you.
You too.
I concur with all of the comments tonight. Awesome job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time we have more questions for you, Scott.
That's what I'm worried about.
Thank you for coming, Scott.
I'll see you tomorrow night. Yes, sir.
A little humor in it, right?
Scott Frederick, I think that you're actually up, but we've just got about 2 minutes before we have to go to our public hearing. So if you'll hold up, and you don't have much choice because we're just going to make you wait. But anyway, just hold up just a minute, Scott.
They never did open up that restaurant.
Jeff, how long will it take you?
But it's nice back over.
Oh, it's open?
Yeah.
Crowded too, man.
We've got 3 minutes, so we're going to get Jeff Jones to give his, is that all right, Rob? Just because it won't take him but just a minute, because, and then we'll go to our public hearing. This is Jeff Jones, who's our Public Works
I
Director.
meet my brother and sister-in-law.
Solid waste.
Solid waste, beg your pardon.
Yeah.
No, we ain't got there yet.
That's right, that's right.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'm just coming to see if, I guess there was some funds for a maintenance shop a couple years ago or a year or so ago that did not get passed through, I guess right before COVID started. And I was just seeing if, to get those funds reappropriated. I have collected a couple, not spot on dollar figures for a 60 by 40 shop, but I've got some pretty kind of rough estimates. Materials are changing week to week. Concrete prices are changing week to week. Of course, everybody knows lumber is too. I've got a stick-built pole barn, 60 by 40 for about $35,000. I've got a Connex box stacked on top of each other proposal, which would be us doing the labor for $30,000 and about $20,000 for concrete. So each of them within $5,000 a piece, and we're looking at about $52,000 completion wise. A stick built will be, we won't have to do anything to that. If we go the stackable Connex box route, we will be crane rental, stacking them, turnbuckles, welding the hangers on for the roof trusses, putting metal on ourselves, which would be very labor intensive for us. The stick built pole barn will be turnkey. We just provide them a level lot and they go to work. We won't have to do anything to that.
Where are you thinking about locating it?
It's gonna be located behind the Tuggle convenience site, so we can use the adjoining fence from Tuggle to save on fence cost. And I've actually got a small diagram drawn of where the location may be. If you all would like me to send it to you, I can send it to Sarah. That way we can use existing materials, what's there to keep costs down. And we could secure our equipment at nighttime inside the fence or inside the shop, to help with safety issues that we've been having lately.
Jeff, that's where you have those extra containers
Yes, sir.
back in there?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have to do much grading of that because it's already level. It's
Level,
already
yeah.
been rocked there for years, so it'd be a really good foundation just to dress up, put a little rock on, and you could put 6, 8 inches of concrete on it. And you wouldn't have to do a lot of, digging footers because it'd just be poured inside the pole barn.
Who did you get the bid for, the pole barn?
Cedar Grove, the Amish guys out of, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
They actually built one in my house. They
Right.
built one for me.
They've built some for my neighbors and they do a really good
Yes,
job.
they do very good work. And we're waiting on one more estimate as a steel manufactured building that won't be in until next Tuesday.
Boy, the price of steel is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna move to approve the fiscal year 21 budget amendment for the landfill maintenance repair shop, the amount of $65,000. And appropriate the same as shown below.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly made and seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby? Jerry?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty?
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, ladies and
Thank you,
gentlemen of the board. Thank y'all.
Jim?
At this time, we're gonna go.
Appreciate it, Jeff.
Yeah, appreciate what you're doing right there.
We're gonna open the public hearings. I guess that there's a request by Ben Sears and Caleb Lafferty. Is that correct, Doug? Ben's been signed up. Ben, are you online?
I am, yes, sir.
There you are. Go to it, Rob.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the county received an application for a special use permit from Ben Sears on behalf of Arbez Properties LLC to operate a retail garden center on tax map parcel 051-24-A on Farmville Road. This parcel is currently owned by Hampton Sydney. If you've gone by there, you've seen it's got a commercial, it's got a big sign for sale. This is in the A2 Agricultural Residential Zoning District, and as such, retail garden centers require special use permit. This was properly advertised in the Farmville Herald. You have a copy of that in your table pack, as well as a copy of a letter that was sent to all the adjoining landowners. The Planning Commission held their advisory hearing on January 19th, and no one spoke in opposition of this application. I've had no calls from the public against this application since that time, and like I said, the applicant is on the phone to answer any questions you might have. The Planning Commission did unanimously recommend approval with conditions. Those conditions are in your table pack. If you have any questions of me, I'd be glad to answer anything you might have.
No opposition?
No opposition.
I guess at this time it's open to the public. Is there anyone to speak for or against this from the public? If not, I'm going to close that. Ben, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, sir, I don't, I'm just available for any questions.
In that case, is there any discussion from the board or questions, either one?
I make a motion, we approve it with the conditions set on it by the planning commission.
Been a motion made.
Second.
And properly seconded. Ms.
second.
Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms. Booth?
Yes.
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry? Lou?
Yes.
You there, Ms. Jones?
Yes.
All right. So move. All right, we're now for Caleb Lafferty. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Caleb Lafferty has filed for a special use permit. This is at his residence. He runs a retail trash pickup and disposal business. This is a door-to-door pickup service that he hauls to the landfill. This is on tax map parcel 105-4-6. His site address is 1724 Meharon Road. This is in an A1 agricultural zoning district, and his request is to set up a business office there at his residence. He does have one employee that helps him based on his application. This has been properly advertised in the Farmville Herald. Adjoining property owner letters notification in your table pack. The Planning Commission held their advisory hearing on January 19th. No one spoke in opposition to this application. I've had no one call me with any opposition prior to that or since then, prior to your hearing tonight. I believe the applicant is on the phone, and I did send to him, the Planning Commission did recommend conditions of approval with this, and I forwarded those to him, and he has had those to look at, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Love? Mr. Lafferty, are you on the phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At this time, we're going to open up to the public. Is there anyone that has anything for or against this from the public? If not, we're going to close the public hearing. Are there any questions from the board for Mr. Lafferty? Or Mr. Lafferty, do you have anything to add to this?
No, sir.
All right, in that case, it's up to the board if someone wants to make a motion.
I move to approve, the Board of Supervisors approve the special use permit for Mr. Lafferty for the general business office and conditions as recommended by the planning commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Had it, Ms. Jones, all right. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty Cooper?
Yes.
All right, so moved. I guess the next one is gonna be amendment to the 21 county, budget totaling $1,116,000, $857 for the closeout for the Prince Edward County Public School 2005 Qualified Zone Academy Bond. Do you have anything to speak to this?
So, Mr. Chair, members of the board,
Here you go.
At its January meeting, the board authorized a public hearing on the amendment of the FY21 county budget to facilitate the closeout of the 2005 QZAB. Basically, it's a debt instrument of the county public schools. The QZAB program allowed a bank or other lending institution to purchase a special no-interest bond on behalf of the school. In 2005, the Prince Edward County Schools received a QZAB allocation of $1,116,857. The payments have all been made, and Bank of America is holding the $1,017,251.82. To allow for the closeout of the borrowing, the funds must be legally transferred back to the county, then returned back to the Bank of America. This will require action by the board, as no appropriation was included in the QZAB fund in the FY21 county budget. Additionally, a final payment of $99,715 is due on the maturity date. The FY21 school budget included a portion of that final payment, but an additional $39,180.18 will be needed. Per section 15.22507 of the Code of Virginia, the locality may amend its budget during the fiscal year. However, if such an amendment exceeds the county's adopted expenditures by 1% or more, then the locality must advertise the amendment at least 7 days prior to a public hearing. The county's currently approved FY21 budget for all funds totals approximately $65 million, which means we will exceed the 1% threshold. So the cost, again, is the $39,180.18 that was not accounted for in the budget. I would note that with the adopted audit, we had savings greater than that with the school's budget from FY20.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this, either for or against or anything else? If not, we're gonna close that, and we're gonna open it up to the, is there any discussion from the board?
It's hard to believe that was 16 years ago.
Isn't it,
To prove that. I thought it was like 5.
That's saying something for us, isn't it, Bobby?
I tell you, man.
And I would note, there is another one next year, but we will make sure that's in the budget, so we don't have to go through this extra process next year.
Okay, I'll move to approve the amendment to the fiscal year 21 county budget in the amount of $1,116,857 in the QZAB bond, and I move to authorize the board chair and/or county administrator to execute all documents needed to close out the 2005 QZAB bond.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Ms. Patty Cooper Jones?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
All right, so moved. We're gonna wait just a minute. We're evidently having some difficulty again with the live streaming. Give us just a minute.
Maybe the answer is we're not gonna be able, we'll be able to upload it later, we couldn't live stream 2 meetings in a row. Apologies.
Okay. All right. Well, for those that are out there, then you can pick this up live stream later. At this time, I guess we're going to Scott Frederick. Is that correct? Scott, are you there? We see you, Scott. Can you hear us? We still aren't hearing Scott.
Want to give him a call in?
Yes. Sarah, you gonna give him a call?
Tell him to call in.
Or it's-
He's calling.
He's calling in now. Give us just a minute, Scott. We see you.
Might have to learn hand signs.
That's the truth.
Like a child, seen but not heard.
That's right. While we're trying to get to where we can hear you, is there anything, Scott can hear us, is there anything that the board would like to comment? Looks like we're having difficulty getting him online, so. Ms. Pride, do you have anything to talk to Scott about tonight?
No.
There was anybody, Bobby?
Nothing really. I mean, the roads are in tough shape in some areas, but with the weather we've had, you couldn't expect anything but that.
That's correct, that's correct.
I got one sign down, a state sign, down on 633 Bursar Road at the intersection, near the intersection of CC Camp Road, Scott. If we can get that back up. CC Camp Road.
He said, yep. We got you.
Got you, buddy.
The only two things I have, Scott, I got a phone call today on Isham Road, which you know about that. And, I mean, you know where I'm talking about. If you would just have someone check it out. And the other thing was I got some feedback last night. I was in another meeting and I got some pretty serious feedback from some truckers that ran up on 307 before they knew what in the world they were doing and about turned a load of cattle over. And that was, they were just not happy and said none of the rest of the people were. So I'm just passing that on. I got you. Appreciate what you're doing. Like I say, we know that the roads are, I'm like Bobby, we know they're in terrible shape because of the condition of our weather, but.
Yeah.
Are they not seeing the concrete at 307? I mean, can you put some type of reflectors or something?
Well, the problem there is that you come from a 2-lane down to a single lane, all of a sudden, there is a sign there, I'm not gonna say it's not. But you don't see it until you're right up on it. I came through there Wednesday night just to see if I could see it, and you can see it, but you've gotta be looking. And all of a sudden, all it says is that to Richmond is to the right, it doesn't say that it comes to a single lane, I don't think. Does it say that, Scott, or does it say it comes to a single lane? You can give me the thumbs up or down if it. It's kind of, yeah, that's you're exactly like those truckers were. They were giving me down the road because they knew that I was on the board, and I said, look, let me take this to Scott and tell him. But
I'm like Beverly. I think some signs and those concrete. Yeah.
Red flashing light. Something. Yesterday, I gave a tractor trailer the right of way. I was already in the left lane.
yeah,
And
it's
he had to have it. He was.
traffic in has reviewed. Engineering, I got you. Traffic engineering. There we go.
All else fails.
On the 307, 460 intersection, can the whole board hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Traffic engineering has reviewed that, and they gave me what they're gonna implement as the fix. We're gonna put up 45-mile-per-hour advisory speed plaques, underneath the existing dual intersection signs that are at 950 feet and 600 feet prior to the intersection heading westbound on 460. And then we're going to replace the right lane must turn right sign with an oversized right lane must turn right heading 460 westbound. That sign has to be special ordered. We're going to repair those shoulder drop-offs again from people running off the edge of the road right there. We also got some loose gravel we're going to clean up. We're going to install, I think this is where the big fixes start. We're going to install a 20-foot wide, a 20-foot in length. It's called a Type B Class 2 Thermo shield that's going to say Route 307 in the right lane. So if you're heading 460 westbound on the pavement itself, we're going to put a big 307 shield.
Makes sense.
And then up ahead of that, we're going to put right lane. And then on the left lane, we're going to put the same style shield, but it'll be the 460 shield. And up ahead of that, it's going to say left lane. And so I think that'll clearly designate each lane. It's like if you want to be on 460, be in the left lane. If you're going to get on 307, turn in the right lane. But then to address people still going too fast approaching the intersection, as you get closer, we're going to have the pavement rumble strips across each lane. There's going to be 2 sets of them with 15 in each set. So that's going to really get people's attention coming up to that intersection. Those are going to be approximately 600 feet west of Route 307 and 800 feet west of Route 307. So we just got this. They shared it with me today, knowing that the board meeting was tonight, so I could share it with you guys. But they're finishing their review, and they're going to formally give it to me, hopefully, they said by the end of the week, and then we can start implementing these fixes. So I've been pushing them sometimes 2 and 3 times a week, trying to get this review sped up. So this is kind of having this size of a review done this fast is kind of unprecedented. So, or at least since I've been working at VDOT. So I'm pretty proud that we already have it in hand and we're ready to start implementing. So
One of the signs is kind of behind the cedar tree, that needs to be cut back too.
Yeah, that's, Scott, did you hear Lou? One of those.
I can just barely hear him. So if he could please repeat it a little louder, I'd appreciate it.
One of those signs is partially shielded by a cedar tree there. If they could cut that cedar tree coming, before you get to it, in other words.
Okay. Yeah, I'm writing that down now. I'll try to get my guys to go out there tomorrow and trim that back.
Is there anything else for Scott from the board? If not, thanks, Scott, for what you are doing. We appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you, Chairman and Board. I can, let's see here. Oh, my update this month is short because we've had those 2 snow events and I've lost my page. So I wanted to update you guys on the box culvert that we're going to install on 690. They should be out there this week starting to clear some trees, and they said they're going to officially start work on that project on the 16th of this month. Our bridge crew is going to do that for us, and they're scheduled to complete it March 22nd. So we'll have Route 690 back open hopefully at the end of March. And then I just wanted to thank the county. I think Administrator Stanley was pretty instrumental in this, but we've kind of put an agreement together between VDOT, Prince Edward County, and the Piedmont Regional Court System to address the litter. So we've all kind of playing a little role in that, and we're going to hopefully have less litter on the roadways soon. So I'm excited about that. So that's my big update for you guys. And I appreciate your comments. I'm going to get those addressed, and I guess I'll meet with you guys again next month. So thank you so much.
One question before you go. Plum Creek, do you know what they're doing about that? Plum Creek Road?
That's 690 if I'm not
Is
mistaken.
that 690? Okay.
Yeah, they're going to build I think it's an 8x8 box culvert instead of those pipes that failed is going to get replaced with a box culvert.
Is it deep enough to put a box culvert in there?
I believe so. It's they're going to maybe raise the grade of the road right there. I think 1 foot is what the drawing
Right on the
says.
ground, so, okay. They've been calling. I said I would check and find out. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, I guess we are going to Department of Social Service update. Roman Morris, is she on? Rose's not here.
She'll be
Okay.
here next month.
All right, we'll roll right on. Finance report. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. I'm with you. That was somewhat of a question, wasn't it?
So there are 2 sets of appropriations in your board pack. One is on page 103, and one is in the table pack on page 227. And I'll run through these and answer any questions. Y'all have already addressed one, which was for the solid waste shop. So number 1 on page 103 is an additional appropriation to general properties for the cost of air quality testing in the courthouse. Number 2 is when the county purchased the courthouse security x-ray machine, which you have seen downstairs coming in. We did not include in that purchase training for the sheriff's office. So this additional $5,000 will ensure that all of the members of the security team with the sheriff's office and additional deputies in the sheriff's office are all properly trained on the use of the courthouse x-ray machine. Flipping to page 227, items number 1 and 2 are supplemental appropriations for the Prince Edward County Public Schools. One is a $24,647 security equipment grant. The second one is a supplemental allocation that the schools received through the Department of Education of CARES Act funding in the amount of $72,002.34. Item number 3, when the board approved the FY21 budget, the appropriation that was included in the CDA special levy fund was not adequate to cover the amount that was billed, special levy that was billed by the treasurer. So when the county receives the CDA special levies, we then turn the funds over to the CDA, and the county can't turn those funds over unless there's an appropriation in place by the Board of Supervisors. So we need an additional appropriation of $18,000 to increase that expenditure line item, which will allow the county administrator to turn those funds over, which that amount would then total what was billed by the treasurer. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, the recommendation would be for the board to approve the FY21 budget amendments presented above and appropriate the same funds.
Doug, anything?
Second.
All right, it's been properly made and seconded. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Beverly?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Patty Cooper?
Yes.
All right, so moved. Would the Zoom presenters please give us their last 4 digits of the phone number so we can try to unmute you? We're having a little difficulty. All right?
So as they come up.
As they come up, just give us the last 4 digits. Voting access permits to Sandy River Reservoir. Doug?
I'll turn that back.
I'll turn it back. Okay, go ahead, sir.
What page is that? I'm sorry,
It's way on over. 139?
thank you. I think I gave away my agenda, okay. So the county was contacted by the regional lands and access manager with the Department of Wildlife Resources, and it appears that last year the Virginia General Assembly adopted legislation that changed the access regulations for the publicly owned and managed properties of the Department of Wildlife Resources, formerly known as the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries. And the boat ramp at Sandy River Reservoir, the county has had a long-standing management agreement with the Department of Wildlife Resources for the boat ramp and courtesy pier at Sandy River. So our facility, just the boat ramp, not the fishing pier, not the hand launch, not the parking lot, not the bank fishing, only the use of the pier, the courtesy pier and the concrete boat ramp would be affected by this. And so what is now required in order to use a game department owned or managed facility, you must either purchase an access permit or you must be prepared to show proof that you have a fishing permit, a fishing permit, a hunting, trapping, restore the wild membership, or a current certificate of boat registration. I spoke with Gavin Ferris, who probably knows Sandy River as well as any of us, since he enforces most of the regulations on the lake. And he and I agreed that the majority of people that use Sandy River, with the exception of the recreational canoeists and kayakers, are most likely going to hold one of those state licenses. Now, the state license requirement is not for every occupant of a boat. It's only for the captain of the ship. So if you're a passenger, you will not be asked to prove. It's only the person who owns the boat or is operating the boat. The county, a number of years ago, installed a hand launch. In fact, Ron built it for us when we had an ongoing relationship with the Disabled Veterans Organization. And so there is a hand launch at Sandy River for canoes and kayaks. And I would say probably the majority of the recreational canoers and kayaks either use that hand launch or probably the one over on Gates Pass Road. So we do not believe that this is going to place a substantial burden on, I'm going to say, the majority of the citizens of Prince Edward County that go out and enjoy Sandy River. The county would have two options. You can either continue your current relationship, which would mean that the Department of Wildlife Resources would continue to maintain. They would replace or restore if there was damage to that boat ramp and courtesy pier, or the county could opt to end its relationship with the Department of Wildlife Resources for the maintenance of that facility. They would continue to manage the fishery and continue to stock the lake. But if you wish to discontinue the management relationship, then the county would take over the maintenance and replacement responsibility for the boat ramp and the fishing, the courtesy pier. And then no permits would be required well, except for the fishing permit, but no access permits.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
When you say courtesy pier, you're talking about
The pier between the two ramps.
the handicap.
It's not the fishing pier, it's not the T
Okay.
pier. It's
So-
just the short pier that gives you access to
Right.
each of the ramps on the double boat
Okay,
ramp.
so the county is currently maintaining the
Fishing
handicap
pier.
and the handicap.
The fishing pier
Yes,
is I
yes.
think the handicap accessible, it's
Yeah.
the handicap accessible fishing pier.
Right,
The T pier is
Yeah.
ours.
yeah,
Between that and the boat ramp, there's the hand launch, which is ours, and then the concrete boat ramps, the double boat ramps, has the little courtesy pier in between.
yeah.
That is maintained and managed by the Department of Wildlife Resources.
And that's the relationship we want to continue, I would think, right?
I would say that I don't believe that we have the in-house talent to do underwater construction, or not sure we want to manage the construction or the maintenance of a boat ramp.
Yeah, I move that the Board of Supervisors continue the county's current management relationship with the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources for the maintenance of the upkeep of the boat ramp and the courtesy pier. I think we keep what we got, and we don't have that skill set either, I don't think, to do it.
You could send some of your inmates out there.
They'll
All right,
drown.
the motion made, probably second. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
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 Jim?
Yes.
Dottie? Jerry?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Ms. Pride? Patty Cooper?
Yes.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
so moved. I think that what Sarah said right there is very true, that 99% of the people that come there, if you're gonna fish, you're required to have a fishing license anyway, so you're covered.
And if you have a motor on your boat, you've got to have.
You've
the
gotta have a
boat
registration, so
Right.
I mean, pretty much all of that is covered anyway.
We doing it now for this.
Well, and that's why I checked with Gavin, because I figured he'd have a really good sense
Sure,
of the
sure.
local traffic.
All right. At this time, Piedmont Court Services, Donald Williams, Ms. Williamson, you online?
Yes, I am. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna do the intro, Ms.
Hold on just a minute, here's Doug.
I'm gonna do the introduction, Donald, then I'll let you speak. I'll cut down to the chase here. At the board meeting on January 12th, the board approved the request to appropriate the grant funds for pretrial services, but tabled discussion on the salary increases that were requested. The board requested that Mr. Williamson go back and look at more equitably spreading the salary increases across staff in the department. He has recommended to extend increases to 2 additional line staff, 2 probation officers who have been with the agency for more than a year. He would cross-train those staff to learn pretrial work. He's proposing to give those individuals a 3% increase and would use supervision fees, not the grant fees, to pay for those increases. Again, the original request was for a 10% increase for his position, the office manager position. I provided motions. One was as requested, and the second was at a 5% level. With that, I'd turn it over to Mr. Williamson. Some additional information, the letter and some comparative numbers are in your packet, and hopefully he can answer your questions.
Go ahead, Donald.
Yes, can everybody still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So when I went back and looked at the numbers for the additional, increases for the additional staff, so I looked at, we're good?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought someone said something. It takes about a year to, train someone for, the probation, so I looked at staff that have been here a year or more, and that's why I have the 2 staff members that have been with us over a year, and so the increase of the 3%. I believe I can roll that over into the grant when I apply the next few weeks, for that amount. Right now, we use supervision fees because of the way I had, requested the money before from the, state. And so with the increases, I know there were some kind of concerns or questions for the increase from myself and the office manager before. There's no hazard. In fact, I've only been with the county for 6 months. I do have, I was here before as a probation officer for 2 years. I have about 19 years experience probation and pretrial. But, that, the reason for my request was that the previous director, when she applied for this grant, she had factored in part of the money for increases for, staff, and that was for the director position and the office manager position.
Okay, any
questions?
Sure. Anything from, I guess, Donald, I'll start to begin with. I think in our last meeting, we talked about the 10% increase. We just thought that was pretty large to begin with, and I think it's public record. You could look back and see what Renee was making, and this is gonna put you right up there close to what she was making after 30 years of experience. I realize you've got 17 in that field, but that puts you right up there within probably about $4,000 of where she was after 30 years. And yes, she had put in for the pretrial thing for an increase, but I personally have a problem with it, and I think some of the other board members do, but I'm gonna let them speak to that at this point, and then we'll go from there. So it's open to the board.
Yeah, I understand that perspective.
Well, I know, doing our budget and give employees increases, with the county, we give everybody the same percentage increase. I don't think we handpick certain people to get a bigger one than others, and that was one thing I think was a little concern to me.
Any other board members, any questions, additions, or any comment?
Yeah, I got a question. Hey, Mr. Williamson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that you got 3 POs that was hired, been there less than a year. You got, I think that one was hired in April, August, and November. You didn't you excluded them from the increase? Was there a reason for that?
Well, because it takes about a year for somebody to get the basics of probation work, and then after a year, they get into the more complex case provision, and I don't want to cross-train them to pretrial when they have not fully comprehended probation at first.
Okay.
That was my reason there.
Any other board members have any comments?
Now, I do, you say you've been with, the court service about 6 months?
Yeah,
Okay,
January 27th was my 6-month date.
okay. I do have a concern about the 10%. I could probably live with the 5 and the 3. And that would be my recommendation, to look at the 5% for the you and the office manager, because I realize pretrial services is additional workload and a lot of investigation, and it can be time consuming. So it is gonna be some more work, additional work. No questions about that. And you're gonna cross-train your two senior POs to assist with that, with the 3%.
Right.
So, and I'll make a motion for the
Jerry,
5%, 3.
Jerry, hold up just a minute before you make a motion. Let me just ask one more question.
Sure.
When you were hired, you did know that that the pretrial was part of this, is that correct?
Yeah, money was frozen, but I knew that the,
Yeah.
granted, the application had been accepted, we were just waiting for the money. Yeah, it did.
Well, I'm not talking about the money, I'm talking about you knew that the pretrial part was part of your job, that was part of, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure, and you were hired at a pretty significant more than what you were making to begin with, is that correct?
Yes, I was, correct.
I just want the board to know exactly what's what before they make any decisions or whatever else. All right,
Now,
Jerry.
Mr. Williamson, what kind of, time-wise, how many additional work hours, man hours, this pretrial service you go encumber weekly? On the
It's
average?
already been quite a few hours, because we're in the implementation stage right now. It's probably fair to say at least 10, 15 more hours a week.
10 to 15?
If not more, but, right. If not more. Right now, it's busier because I'm trying to get it implemented.
Donald, I'm not exactly understanding that. What do you mean that it was implemented? It was already part of the job, is that correct?
No.
It was not implemented.
It was not implemented when he got hired. So when he got hired,
But he knew it was coming.
he knew it was coming.
Correct.
But it wasn't there. That wasn't actually in place when he got hired.
Yeah, we were awarded the money on December the 5th.
Yeah.
And I was hired, in, July.
I got you.
But now he knew it was coming down the road.
That's
He knew
right.
that
That's
grant-
right.
you knew that grant was out there.
Well, it was already there.
Yeah.
I knew, it was just the fund was being unfrozen. I knew we were gonna, I had been planning on thinking about, how we were gonna start services and everything, because I knew it was just a matter of the money was gonna become unfrozen. So,
Again, I can support 5 and 3 because 15 hours, additional hours a week, that's right much.
That's 7 days a week.
I mean, that's a lot of work. There's more work to than you think. And investigations and everything. So, being a part of that system, I think he deserves something, but I think 10% is a little bit too much. So again, I make that motion for the 5 and the 3.
There's been a motion made for 5% for Donald and Connie, from what I understand, and 3% for the other two. Is that correct? Just to make sure I get the motion
Yes,
correct.
sir. You're right, Mr.
All right,
Chair.
that's what the motion is. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Bobby seconds it. All in, I guess, Lou,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yeah.
Jim,
Yes.
Beverly, myself, yes. Ms. Pride, Patty Cooper? Patty Cooper, are you there? Okay, there we go. All right, so it's been passed, Mr. Williamson, for 5% for you and Connie and a 3% for Matthew and Amanda.
Thank you very much, I appreciate your time.
All right. Rehabilitation tax credits for Timberlake 1 and 2. Here we go. Robert?
Chairman, members of the board, the county has received a request from Cerber Development and Consulting LLC on behalf of developer Taft Mills Group to support their application being planned for the acquisition and rehabilitation of Timberlake 1 and Timberlake 2, which is located in the town of Farmville, to be submitted to the Virginia Housing for rehab reservation of tax credits. That is in your table pack. There are two items before you tonight. The first item is a request to pass a resolution naming these two developments as revitalization areas and to adopt an ordinance for tax abatement for these two properties. In 2014, a similar application to rehabilitate the country estates apartments in town of Farmville was passed. This is, if you look on your map, it is adjacent to these apartments now that are being requested. At that time, town of Farmville executed a revitalization certification for the property. Since 2014, the standards for Virginia Housing QAP has changed, which now requires a resolution to be passed rather than the town manager or the county to sign off on the form. The second item would be a tax abatement ordinance, which would require a public hearing. The soonest we could do that, it would be at your regular March meeting due to advertising guidelines. We have provided a sample tax abatement ordinance, which was done for country estates in your table pack. The language is accepted. The language accepted by the points in this category reference a tax abatement ordinance. The sample was provided by town of Marion for a similar rehab project. The abatement amount is capped at $2,000 for only 3 years, and only the amount of increase in the tax assessment. If you have any questions of me, I'd be glad to answer them. I know that they've been corresponding with Mr. Stanley, County Administrator, as well.
Mr. Chairman, we've got Jen Serber, who's with the applicant on one as well. I did have the opportunity to ride by both the previously renovated facilities and the facilities in question, and I will say that what a difference the renovations made on the other facilities. So these are certainly in need. I saw broken windows today and damaged a couple of units that certainly would benefit from a fresh update. I don't know if you have any questions for.
I was gonna say, are there any questions for Jen? Jen, do you have any, Jen Serber, are you on? Is she unmuted, Cheryl?
Yeah. She's on Zoom, but she's unmuted on Zoom, and I thought she was online.
Okay. Well, what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, we gotta have the public hearing about the other.
Second piece, yes.
Right.
Correct. You wanna just table this until we get
Yeah,
a,
that's what I was kinda thinking. see what the public
I agree,
is.
is that the consensus of the board without having to? All right, we're gonna table that. I guess the next is a request from the Commonwealth's attorney that you,
That's me, Mr. Chairman. Bear with me just a
sure,
second.
take your time. Page
So
159.
Jen, if you can hear us, we'll have you, on next month's agenda for a public hearing, in which case the board will consider both items of the request. In your packet, there's an outline of the request from the Commonwealth Attorney. So Ms. Clark had asked previously for a meeting with myself, Supervisor Townsend as Chair of the Personnel Committee, and Supervisor Cooper Jones as Chair of the Finance Committee, for the purpose of discussing turnover and a request for a pay increase for the Deputy Commonwealth Attorney and Assistant Commonwealth Attorneys in her office. There's a table on your board cover sheet that outlines the existing salaries, current salaries in the department. We met on January 27th to hear the request. Ms. Clark asked for an increase for the deputy position, Ms. Hannah, from $73,542 to $85,000, and for the two assistant Commonwealth attorneys from $58,158 to $70,000. She noted that Erica Sieg was leaving the office and she has subsequently left, and she was concerned about her ability to attract and retain qualified assistant attorneys. Ms. Clark noted that within this term, one of her administrative assistants is planning to retire. based on the shift of workload and responsibilities, i.e. the attorneys are responsible for some of the work the administrative assistants used to do, as well as the efficiency of the current administrative staff, she would not seek to replace the position. Currently, 3 administrative assistants are funded through the state comp board and 1 administrative assistant is funded through the county. So we would be able to, in essence, do away with the county funded position. After discussion, the recommendation to the full board was to increase the deputy Commonwealth attorney position as requested from 73,542 to 85, increase 1 of the 2 assistant positions from 58,158 to 70, and leave the 3rd assistant, which is the one that just became vacant, at the starting salary of the 58,158, kind of as a starter position. As part of the negotiation, Ms. Clark agreed to the following. Again, not to replace the administrative assistant position when it becomes vacant, and to leave the 3rd assistant position at the lower starting salary. Also, not to ask for additional attorney position for review of body-worn cameras for law enforcement. Currently, we've got a total of 69. If the Prince Edward County Sheriff's Office gets its 24 requested through their grant, once you hit 75, in theory, you're required by Code of Virginia to have another assistant attorney to cover those positions. But we've got a total of 69 between Sheriff's Office request and the existing cameras at the Farmville Police Department, Longwood Police Department, and Hampton City Police Department. These salary changes would not take place until the new FY22 fiscal year budget, which starts on July 1st. With the fiscal impact of the request not being felt till next year, she's asked the board to take action now, this time, to at least assure current staff with pending raises to hopefully prevent further attrition in the office. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and Supervisor Towns and Supervisor Cooper Jones, if I missed something or misstated something, please jump in.
No, I think you said it well. I think that the caveat is that the abolishment, she gonna abolish one of the assistant positions. So that'll absorb the cost, the increase to the other positions. So it'll be a wash. That was the position she abolished and wasn't funded by the comp board. It was all funded totally by the county, the locality. So it'll be absorbed. So, I was told that.
Before you make a motion thing, you said, Doug, that if there's any questions, I think that Appomattox, Lunenburg, and Nottaway, all of the, well, 2 of those counties are lower than what we are now, is that correct?
They are, and Ms. Clark made a good argument that it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, given the size of the staff in those offices. Typically, they're like 1 assistant. You know, I pulled some information. I couldn't get the final from Warren. I got Shenandoah County's pretty similar. They've got 3 attorneys in their office, and some of those I've noticed they have bumped their assistant up to that 80, 90 range. I know in Warren we had our top deputy was probably close to 100 at one point in time. But the difficulty, I think, is just, you know, 58,000 is trying to keep it.
Staff retention is the issue.
Yeah.
She, I mean, apparently she has a lot of,
Turnover, you're talking about a 15% increase there, though.
Yeah, it's $12,000 if you look at the 2, but that position she abolished and pay about a little over 36, 37. So you still divide that by 3, you still a lot.
You gotta feel
That's a tremendous increase. But if it's comparable to others and what the others paying, if you don't, she gonna lose them. It's real simple. But I think if she said that she gonna, one of them retiring and she gonna abolish that salary she paying there is absorbed through the raises. So it's still the same.
That's still a lot of increase, though, at one pop.
Yeah, but she gotta have help.
Yeah.
If they get 75 cameras, you ain't gonna have a choice but to hire another one. Cause the state gonna force you to do it.
Well, if we do the raise increase, then.
See, right now, we 69, so she's saying she's not gonna ask for that other attorney to view body camera, worn cameras, video.
But if we get 6 more, then we're gonna have to, is that correct?
Well, they're required for a second one, but there is some wiggle room with Commonwealth attorney.
To say whether she want them or not. Yeah,
Main thing was we didn't have to hire the first one.
right.
She's absorbed that within the department.
Not only that, Ms. Clark made a really good explanation. When she talked about the caseload that Prince Edward has compared to other counties, and she said they actually do every video footage before they go to court.
And not only that, I have to say that, far as the jail, our internal, institutional investigator, always down at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, pursuing, criminal charges on offenders for contraband, drugs, etc. And Megan's crew always step up to the plate. So that's in addition to her normal daily duties. But she really supports the jail. And that jail keep her busy, I'm telling you.
And she asked no raise for herself, only for her employees.
Exactly. She didn't increase her. She's just trying to maintain the good quality staff that she has.
Staff that she has.
That's right. So Patty and I think we were both supportive of it. Again, they don't kick into July 1. She didn't even ask for it immediately.
Well, a little bit, I've looked at times of what the assistant Commonwealth attorneys get, and I wonder how we could hire somebody for that.
Can't do it, huh?
I mean, you know, they've got a college education to pay back
And continuing education.
right, if you will retain them here too.
Yeah.
In that case, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move that the board of supervisors approve the request and the increase for the deputy Commonwealth attorney and one of the assistant Commonwealth attorney positions as outlined effective July 1, 2021. Such approval is subject. Fine.
Is there a second, Patty? Lou?
I'm gonna abstain from this one.
Okay.
Chairman,
Hold just a
I
minute.
just want to make sure that last part was included.
Yes, such approval is subject to the 4 positions outlined that making it above. That's to abolish the one
Abolish the-
position, yeah,
I got you, I got
the
you.
4 bullets, okay?
All right, Jerry?
Yes.
Patty Cooper?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yeah.
Jim?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Me, I'm gonna abstain also. Ms. Pride?
Yes.
All right, so moved. Human Resource Report, what we got?
Cheryl's coming.
I see her coming.
Ms.
Good chat.
Dempsey.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right.
Good.
So we've been very busy in our office, as y'all know. We've had a lot of interviews. We've had a lot of people quitting, and we've been trying to fill slots. The Personnel Committee met and did the Director of Economic and Tourism and Grants position. They did the interviews yesterday. And we're waiting for responses from the references. The part-time office associate, they also did interviews yesterday. They had 3 candidates. And we made a recommendation, and she has accepted it at $12 an hour, part-time. And she will start February 16th. The finance director, we have 2 applications so far, and we do not have a date set for the interviews unless there's something I don't know. Heavy equipment operator, Jeff Jones will be doing interviews on the 11th of February. He has 3 applicants. I think he's gonna interview all 3. Part-time housekeeper, we have 1 candidate that has applied, and she calls like every couple days and wants to know when we're gonna fill the position. I don't think that decision has been made when the interview is gonna be done for those. And the building and grounds worker that we just put in the paper was Billy Coe's old job, and that we don't have any candidates as of now. But we just, like I said, I think it doesn't go in the paper until Friday. Does anybody have any questions? Nope, good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, one of the things we've been doing is also promoting the open positions on our Facebook page, in addition to the website, and hopefully generate a little bit more traffic for us moving forward.
Sarah, you have anything with the emergency management report?
Yes.
talking a lot, but I probably shouldn't, so I won't do that. So this is the 18th update that the emergency management staff has brought to the board regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. As you will see from the chart, the case counts are up all across the region and the Commonwealth. The only good news I can bring from those numbers is that the positivity rate is falling. There's currently 28 outbreaks in the Piedmont Health District as noted. So let's talk about the vaccine. CDC groups 1A and 1B are underway in the Piedmont Health District. Per the VDH website, currently 2,709 vaccines have been administered to Prince Edward County residents, and 333 individuals or citizens in our county are fully vaccinated as of today. That was off of the VDH website. Our first responders, to the best of our knowledge, anyone who wished to receive a vaccine has been offered that opportunity and received it, and the same with teachers in Prince Edward County. Additionally, the Piedmont Senior Resources is working very hard to try and partner with Centra to locate and transport homebound seniors to facilitate their vaccination in the county. And the Prince Edward County Health Department, which the county is supplementing staff in, is vaccinating 2.5 to 3 days a week. So I think many of you have gone through the health department and see that that is a very busy place. At present, the challenges and vulnerabilities are ahead of us. So while the case counts appear after the Christmas and New Year's peak to be coming back down, I think we need to be paying a lot of attention to the news that is everywhere about the new COVID variants that are spreading across the United States, and that it is predicted that by March, that will be the most prevalent strains in the U.S. These variants seem to spread more easily and quickly. That does not necessarily mean that the acuity is higher, but when you have more cases, you have more cases. And when you have more cases, that means that you could again be straining the healthcare system of the community, the region, the Commonwealth, or the nation. So far, studies seem to suggest that the antibodies generated through the vaccinations that are currently authorized recognize these variants. I think there's, increasing investigation on these. But again, we need to urge our citizens that rigorous compliance with the public health mitigation measures of vaccination, physical distancing, use of masks. And I say that if you're out in public, they're now encouraging people to double mask, especially if you're in a more densely populated, I'm going to say indoor facility. The hand hygiene, the isolation, quarantine, all of those are going to be increasingly important in the coming weeks and months as we vaccinate the population to continue to try and mitigate the spread of COVID-19. I did speak late this afternoon, with Tom Angelo at Centra Southside. He said that on the Centra front that Lynchburg General, over the last 3 weeks, they were at their peak of about 150 patients 3 weeks ago, and they're now at 50. And Centra Southside 2 weeks ago was at 16, and they are at 9. So all of that is good news for our healthcare system and for our community. Flipping over to, page 5. Trey asked me to make sure that the board was aware that there has been a decline in the number of hospitals and emergency rooms that are operating on diversion, which is good news for all of our EMS agencies and the backup that can cause. You will note at the bottom of that list of EMS calls, January 2020, January 2021, was 386 calls, and if you scan up those lists, you'll notice that that's the highest number that we have seen in 2 years. And under the fire service, Trey is helping 6 of our fire departments wrap up another AFG grant. This one is to try and, I'm going to say, fill out each department's need for the SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus. The board had worked with the departments through the CARES Act on some, and then Trey, with the assistance of the CRC, has been working with the 6 departments to try and make sure that, we were hopefully going to be able to fill out the department needs. And as we've pointed out, this would be the first time that all of our fire departments would have the same operational brand, which is really important in the event of an emergency, an on-scene emergency, for example, a structure fire. Let's see, under public information, I think anybody who's on Facebook hopefully has liked the Prince Edward County Facebook page. The county's Vaccinate Prince Edward website is up, and we are working with a consortium of nonprofits and interested citizens and volunteers to help us keep that up to date and to put new information and to coordinate public information and to try and reach out to our older populations who don't have internet, to the faith community and other vulnerable populations within the county of Prince Edward, because there is tremendous concern in the community about the health equity rollout of the vaccine. Let's see. I think we've talked about first responders and teachers, and let's see. Flipping over to the last page, it's my understanding, this is something that Trey is working on specifically, but I think the health equity bags, Maggie, are being worked on in the visitor center. I think that started last week. This week, okay? So we are doing round 2 of the health equity bags. So we will be reaching out to the board to help y'all help us identify individuals in your districts and in your, in your neighborhoods that may need them. It's becoming increasingly important again with the new variants. We will use all of the established networks and the faith-based organizations like we did before, and all of the residential neighborhoods in and around the town and the county that Supervisor Cooper Jones had helped us identify. So we're going to roll out this whole second health equity, the mask and the hand sanitizer. So, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'd like to ask one. The number of deaths on page 1 in Prince Edward counties is 20.
Yes, sir.
What's the period of time in there?
That is cumulative from the very beginning.
Okay, and when was it?
That would be March of a year ago.
Okay.
I'm not sure when the first death in Prince Edward County was attributable to COVID-19, but these are cumulative data since the beginning of the pandemic for each locality and the state.
The equity bags, do you think the jail could be included on that list?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Terry?
Board and Chairman, I have no report at this time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No report.
No report.
That's a good thing.
It is. No litigation.
Locality agreement, page 169. What we got, Dave?
So basically, each year, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you get your locality agreement. I'll always, this happened in my other job as well. You get the locality agreement halfway through during the year. So you're asked to approve the FY21 locality agreement, and it covers the funding you've already committed to in the budget. The budget is $189,500 in local matching funds, and $205 and 100% local funds that are carryover. The local health agreement must be approved each year. Again, even though it comes in halfway, you think it would come beforehand, but it never does. So it's perfunctory, we need to approve it, you're okay with it.
The only thing is, it wouldn't be between Warren County, would it?
No, sir. We're from see, look at that.
Is there a motion made to,
If they want to pay, it'd be all right.
that'd be all right, wouldn't it? Is there a motion to, I guess, to approve this locality agreement?
I move the Board of Supervisors approve the FY 2020-21 locality agreement between Warren County and Virginia Department of Health.
We
Prince Edward
understand.
County.
There you go,
excuse me.
that's exactly right. We just caught that too. No problem. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those, it's been properly made and seconded. Lou,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
yes, Ms. Pride,
Yes.
Patty Cooper.
Yes.
All right, so moved. Update on the Prince Edward County Code. Doug, we're gonna leave that up to you, I think.
Yes, sir.
Page 183. Take your time.
So, one of the items that I've noticed in coming on board with the county is the fact that our online county code hasn't been updated since 2006. The last update set was December 13, 2005. And actually, I ran across it when I was doing research for the county, applying for the job. Doesn't mean the county code isn't up to date, it's just the version, the electronic version is not up to date. So y'all have adopted, made ordinance changes over the years. At some point, I think we want the county attorney to review the code to see what needs to be changed. The problem is, we don't have a single clean version that has all the changes since 2006 that she can review. So this is kind of a first step. So one of the things that you'll hear from me later in my entry plan is that one of the things we need to do, I think, is to bring the code up to date. But the changeover in planning staff, we've already had an instance where information the county had provided to an economic development prospect was incomplete because we found another ordinance that we had adopted. So it's important to make sure the stuff we have online is up to date for attorneys and development folks. Unicode is the county's code publisher. In years past, Prince Edward, like most localities, would update their hardback books with insert sheets each year to keep them updated. With the expansion of the usage of the internet, most localities have gone to simply provide a link on your iPad or off your smartphone. Deputy Clerk Karen Everhart has previously compiled electronic copies of all the code changes back to December of 2005. They had been provided to Unicode to review and provide an estimate for getting updates. The estimate for one time for them to do it was $9,586.36. The county currently pays Unicode $550 per year as a hosting fee and $250 per year for support. They also provided an option where basically the county would buy the software for a price of $2,500 per year, and they'd help convert it. It was cheaper, it was about $7,450, but that would obligate us moving forward paying that $2,500 per year for the software license. Honestly, I don't think we have that many changes. And in doing the analysis, a quick look at $18 a page, you would run into a substantial amount of changes each year to make it worthwhile. I think we felt, plus like Karen's got enough on her plate as well, but I think we feel let's go ahead and get them to do the update, get the ordinance completed up to 2021. Then at some point we can have Terry review it. We can always go back and try to do the maintenance ourselves, but right now, based on the number of updates, I think we'll come out ahead just paying for the actual updates themselves and not buying the annual $2,500 software license.
I make a motion that we approve this. Is there a second?
Second.
Bobby, second. Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Patty Cooper?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Lou?
Yes.
Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes, and Beverly.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you all. I appreciate that.
I guess we're back to you again, Doug.
Just a couple items from my weekly report last week that I wanted to to highlight. One, there is on the table pack, updated budget calendar. I had a conference call today with the school superintendent trying to iron out kind of differences in our calendar and the school calendar. The main thing I wanted was to get a number from the school budget, a number of weeks ahead of time. Their calendar had us getting it a week before you were having to advertise a budget, and that wasn't enough time for you all to digest it. So we moved that back to about the 16th. We'll give you about 3 weeks. But you've got the revised calendar there. Take a look at that. If you have any questions, let me know. Couple other things. Again, Sarah had mentioned we put a couple Peeper staff members down in local Piedmont Health Office to help us out, help them out, and we're looking at. Looks like it's helping us double the throughput of people getting vaccinations. It's our understanding that Dr. Nash will be leaving the health district later this month. I actually heard today that the job ad has been placed, so that was confirmation that is moving forward, and we'll let you know what their plans are. We do want to ask the state what the plans are for trying to fill that position, particularly during the pandemic. It's extremely important to have leadership in the office downstairs. County Facebook page, again, we've rolled that out and got a lot of folks that are following that and helping us get the word out on things like job ads and emergency issues. But the Animal Control Department has put up a Facebook page and they post pictures of dogs. They said they've had a tremendous response from the public about people want to adopt. So that's helping us get the word out as well. We had a pre-bid this morning with Randy Cook on the parking lot resealing and restriping. That is maintained in conjunction with the church next door. We had 7 bidders today. I was very pleasantly surprised. Normally on a smaller project like that, you're lucky to get 1 or 2. So we're happy with that kind of turnout. And I'll be going to Town of Farmville's council meeting tomorrow night to reciprocate shop visit tonight. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions? I guess the next one is the Properties Committee report. You got that, Doug?
Really,
Just kind of update on that, isn't it?
yeah, I think, we didn't really have a whole lot. I mean, obviously, we're trying to work with, get Jeff some additional help out of landfill. And I think, as Cheryl reported, we've got some interviews coming this week. We are trying to work on, front of the courthouse needs a facelift, and we'll get some information on that. Let's try to maybe spruce it up and make it look, it's the only piece of green space on Main Street, make it look a little bit better, including the shrubs and grass and sidewalk. So we're trying to, I've had a landscape architect who's donating the plan there. We'll try to put something together we can look at this spring.
The flagpoles are leaning too.
Not as bad as the towns, but yes, you're right.
We looked into that a few years back.
Sometimes it's the shim,
Yeah.
just collars.
Landscape.
Oh, landscape,
Yeah,
oh,
we've got
landscape.
somebody to give us a.
Yeah, I think it was Josh then, I think he gave us architect out of Charlottesville,
Yeah.
gave us some,
I'll talk to Josh and circle back. I think it really, they put in the kind of stone paths around when they put in letter of reconciliation, the monument, and maybe we'll figure something else out.
Right.
Yeah.
We cut it back a lot.
Yeah.
Compared to what they
That's right.
wanted.
What they wanted to do,
yeah.
That's all I had, unless you have anything else you want to do, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if the board wishes to act on the appropriation on, 199, it's like
The positions?
yeah, the position.
You need a motion, I guess. we do.
Yeah, that's right, we do
We
need
do.
that. Thank you, sir.
So we want to abolish Ron's position and hire a truck driver and a machine operator? Is that what we wanting to do?
So, in essence, I think Jeff's got a good handle on the landfill. I think Randy's got a good handle on the building. I think, we're putting more responsibility on the 2 of them, but I think that chart shows you're taking the same salary and getting 2 more
when I would say are boots on the ground. One is a truck driver, just to be dedicated to haul leachate from landfill. Because honestly, we had, poor Ron, who making over 90,000 a year without having to drive the truck because we didn't have somebody to cover. I would think we're better off paying somebody, a lesser wage to drive the truck, let Jeff do his job of managing the people underneath of him, but also let Jeff get out with some equipment and repair some of our convenience sites. That's where we get most of our complaints is the public concerned about potholes and ruts and trying to take their trash. And then getting a machine operator would, again, whether that machine operator is working at landfill and freeing Jeff up, or maybe that machine operator could be helping with addressing some of the sites. I just think we get more bang for our buck. He's understaffed, and hiring somebody at the top is not gonna fix the problem. We gotta get some people who can do the work. And, I'm willing to let Jeff and Randy manage their areas of responsibility right now. We'll take a look at that moving forward, but right now, I'm not, saying that we need to backfill the director of public works position.
Yes, Matt. Case, what's the pleasure of the board as far as going this route?
I move we make the suggested changes that Doug has presented to us.
Let's second that.
That case has been made and presented. Ms. Pride? Myself, yes. Beverly?
Yes.
Jim? Bobby?
Yeah.
Jerry?
Yes.
Ms. Pride? Miss Jones? Pat Cooper? I looked at you and that's twice now, Pat. You can call me after a while and chew me out. Lou?
Yes.
I'll get it in a little while. That's no problem. I guess this time we're going to close session.
Can we take a quick break?
After we're going to.
Bobby, thanks for making.
Before we go to closed session, we're going to take about a 3 or 4 minute break.
All right.
Definitely going to take a break.
I think the chairman needs a break here, trying to keep up with all this.
And my,
You on. We haven't voted.
yeah, I'm voting right now. Yes?
And I had you on mute.
Oh, got you. Beverly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jim? Bobby?
Yes.
Yes.
And Miss Patty Cooper?
Yes.
All right, now, hang on one second.
So we need a motion to, I'll wait for just a half second.
Yep.
We need a motion to certify that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the public body.
We don't have, are we live?
We are.
I've got to record this.
We'll wait on you. You ready? Question is, was there anything that was talked about that wasn't supposed to be? Ms. Pride?
No.
David, no. Beverly? Jim?
No.
Bobby?
No.
Jerry?
No.
Lou? Patty Cooper Jones?
That's the first vote of the night.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
And we were unanimous.
That's right. All right, we are now in open session. I guess we need a motion to, I'm gonna tell you exactly what we need a motion for. We need a motion for the Prince Edward Supervisor to authorize the board chair or the county administrator to enter an agreement and execute emergency procurement procedures necessary to facilitate the expansion of COVID vaccinations and dissemination of vaccination and public information for Prince Edward County residents. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Bobby Jones is so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Beverly?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms.
Yes.
Pride? Lou?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Patty?
What about?
All right,
How about Patty?
got her. She gave the yes.
Mr. Chairman, you need
Yes.
to make the first part of
The amended
the
budget.
amend the
Budget.
fiscal year budget.
Okay,
I move to approve the proposal fiscal year 21 budget amendment to create a line item for eligible expenditures related to COVID-19 vaccination implementation and to appropriate same funds.
is there a second?
Second.
Beverly's got a second. All right, been properly made and seconded. Beverly?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Ms.
Yes.
Pride? Lou?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes,
Patty Cooper? Bobby?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jim?
and that was for 100,000.
All right.
I bet you we'll run it up quick.
Fast.
We are information correspondence, is that where we are?
Yes, sir.
Page 205.
You've got just a few things in, you've got
I think this is for correspondence.
Yeah.
correspondence with Habitat, and Cumberland has left the VGA.
Everybody's left.
Yes.
We'll always collect our old laptops.
Yes, Sarah did.
First one charge?
Yeah, it's up 50%. I still put it in more than that. It's plugged in almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I know. I haven't gotten one yet, so I have to see how it. You do not have a home button. No, you keep that one.
Well,
Trade need to get the internet right.
they're locked in this year.
Right.
You can't pull the internet out.
They're after the start of
Some-
the
some-
year.
That's right.
And I know you're paying for it.
Yeah, they should have done that earlier,
Manual on it.
which is,
On the new one.
I don't know why they didn't, because they were warned.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Doesn't have the home button, so it's a little different.
All right, Doug, I guess that's you.
Yeah,
All right, Doug's on page 205.
yeah, you got just a few, I don't know if you have any questions or comments in the reports, and we've got monthly reports, you got your animal control, building officials, cannery, CRC, extension, public schools, and tourism. Happy to answer any questions if you have any. I know it's getting late.
I will say that the director of CRC has COVID and pneumonia also, and really having a tough time.
She hospitalized?
I think she's at home now, but she's having a tough time.
Oh, man.
So,
Who's this, David?
Melody Foster, who's writes all of our grants and things, or who's in charge of that, so just,
Does she have the virus or?
she does. She's supposedly over that, but if you can say you're over it at that time, but anyway, now she has pneumonia, and that's the problem.
I sent her an email today and I got an automatic reply
That's,
back. So I
that's,
knew-
that's the reason why.
Everybody say a little prayer for, Trey, he has surgery.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, he's gonna be fine.
Sure, sure.
He unexpectedly was in the hospital this week, so.
Understandable.
By the way, the 2 police officers of the Farmville Police thing are back on the job now.
Good. Any,
2 Farmville police officers are back on the job.
is there anything else from the board?
I move we adjourn.
No, sir.
Hold on one moment. Go ahead.
Recess.
Yes, sir, there's a date.
Yes.
There's a,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we need to recess until
February,
4:30 PM on Tuesday.
February the 16th.
16th.
This is Chairman the Finance.
no, there's a, there's a budget work session at
February 23rd, Bob.
Yes.
That's correct, February
That's,
23rd.
Jimmy Sanderson, your financial advisor, will be here with the financial forecast now that you have completed your FY 20
So that's February 20, where a motion's been made to recess until February 23rd at 5 PM. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Pride?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Yes.
Beverly? Jim?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Patty Cooper? Jerry?
Yes.
And Lou?
All right.
So moved.
Good job.
Good night, Patty.
The bottom left down there, is that what's turned from?
I think so.
Hey, Ted,
Before,
hey, Sarah.
hey, let me, Jerry, just a minute, before everybody leaves, I wanna say that tonight is, Curtis Pokerhead out here.
Oh, Maggie.
Maggie.
Yeah.
Maggie is actually, has already retired, but she came back tonight to help us out and kinda get us through. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We
man.
appreciate it.
Missed you.
Hey, safe journeys, and we appreciate what you've done for us. Thank you for coming back tonight and getting us through.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so we're back to, we should be correct there. You say there's no on and off button on this one?
There is, let me show you how.
Way up top.
Hold it.
You gotta hold this one and like that one together, I think.